Well, good morning. It's Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. So proud to be with you this morning. This morning I'm going to be speaking mainly to those people who are already in the church, who already have their foot in the church, they're already grounded, and they already have been seasoned just a little bit. They've asked Jesus to save them, come in their heart, and forgive them of their sin, and they've started out. And now they started out, and what I would recommend is if you have just started out in a church somewhere, that you get in the Sunday school program. Now, Sunday school program is just exactly what it said. It's for those that want to study and in the Spirit and do some spiritual study and be a grower. You want to grow like a tree. Now, I've been looking at this little book. It says trees here. This is about trees. And what kind of tree would you like to be? You can be any kind of tree you want to be. Once you find out what kind of tree you want to be, then you can't change. You got to stay that tree. If you're going to be a very insignificant, a small shrub beside the road, and you're going to be there, and 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 just be there all the time. That's good. That's a good shrub. That's a good thing. You're going to hold your own ground right where you are, and you're going to do that. But the thing about it is all the time you're doing that, you must grow. And shrubs grow. They may not grow. We've got shrubs when we paint out around houses. People will say, well, that shrub's 40 years old now, and it's only 2 feet high. But that's where it grew. It grew 2 feet high. It stayed there. It stayed green year-round. It's an evergreen. And because it stayed green year-round, it did what it was supposed to do. It did what it's supposed to do. It decored the place as it was supposed to, and it kept the ground where it was supposed to, and it did what it's supposed to do. Now, there are many lights in the church. What kind of light are you? There is light that fails. There is light in the church house that fails. And that light is light that when it fails, it goes to unbelief. And unbelief brings you to following idols. Now, what is a light that fails? Well, Jesus said, I'm going to light your lamp. Does any man hide his lamp under a bushel? Take a candle and hide it under a bushel? No, you don't. A light set on a hill can be seen from far off, or seen all over. So once your candle is lit and your light is lit, then in belief, you're supposed to be in your place. Well, what is your place? We're talking about now getting in the church or being in the church to a young Christian is what we're talking about this morning. Now, if you are still living in unbelief, that's what you were in before you were saved, then you'll be worshiping idols. Well, what is unbelief? Unbelief is not really believing what is being preached or what is being taught. And how do you know there are people, Brother Peter, that do not really believe that? Because as I talk and work with people, I find that people that know that it's imminent, that the Lord may come any minute or any time or any day, are still piling up. They're still piling up stuff for the future. I talked with a man this week. He's still buying as much gold and silver as he can with as much money as he's got. Wow. Man, I thought, what a poor fellow. Wouldn't he be so much better off if he could take, except what he needs just for his living, and put it in a church house somewhere, and further the gospel for the Lord's sake, and make it be where other people could get saved with that money, and he'd have it in heaven forever. He's going to leave it on this earth for somebody. He's going to leave it for somebody. All I can think about is the children of Israel. When the children of Israel went to a city And they were going to take that city. When God gave them that city, many times God gave them cities that weren't destroyed. He took the bees and ran the people out. The food was on the table. The gold and silver was in the treasury box. Everything was in place. There just weren't any people. And God ran the people out with the bees. And the children of Israel just walked in, sat down. They were starving to death over there in one place. And these two guys went in there and they found this city empty. Totally empty. And they were lepers. And so the other people, they had to holler, unclean, unclean, to go near other people. So as they went near the other people, they had to call unclean, unclean. But they said, look, right down here there's a city that's empty. You starving to death over here in the desert, and here's a city there's not a person in it. You come on. They done left their food on the table for you, left their groceries in the cupboard. They have left everything, the cars and the camels hanging in the yard, and the sheep's in the pen, and all you got to do is come in. And they did, and they got it. But do you know the children of Israel were bad, just like we are, to go back to idols. When you go back to idols, you're in unbelief. When you go to strife, which is indifference, strife is indifference. When you're in strife, you're in indifference. You don't need to be there. You can cause strife, or you can cause things to be good around you. I was talking with some ladies last night at church. I carry this stone right here. This is a stone that you can't throw. Why? Because you cause strife. If you see somebody do some little idiosyncrasy or some little old thing they do, and that bothers you, just keep your mouth shut. You know what? And you know it as well as I know it. If you want peace in your house, even if your wife does something all the time you don't like, or you're a woman and your husband does something you don't like all the time, you want peace in your house, keep your mouth shut. Let that little thing pass. Don't let it bother you. Pray about it. Let the Lord take it away from you that it bothers you. And don't let it bother you anymore. And you'll do well. And you'll do away with the strife in your house or in your life. And then impatience. Impatience is sin. Impatience is sin. If you're impatient, you're sinning. How do you not be impatient, Brother Peter? You put your faith and your trust in the Lord. And you can teach and learn. Teach yourself and learn yourself how to be patient. Well, you say, I don't have any of that in me. None. I don't have none of that in me. You will have one day. You will have one day. I can tell you what. You be impatient as if the Lord can't bring you around. He can bring you around. He put you in a hospital bed for 10 days. I think you'll learn some patience. You'll absolutely learn some patience. You get in a hospital bed for 10 days. But impatience is sin. If you're an impatient person, that's sinning. And you obscure the light around you. You obscure or put that light out of the way. You blast it out of the way when you are impatient. A person who blows up in impatience is like a person that runs into a chicken house. All I can think of in my mind's eye when I think of impatience is something that takes, you have to open the door very carefully when you go into a bitty house where there's little bitty chickens, little bitties, they call bitties, little bitty chickens. When you go in that chicken house, you have to be very patient, to walk very slowly, or they'll die with fright. And you scare people around you when you're impatient.